Hi everyone, this should be an exciting module for you to be opening because it is our final module of the summer. That is incredibly exciting, I'm sure. So you made it through another class. Today we are talking about career programs and career development for high school students. And we skipped over career development for elementary school students and for middle school students. Not that those stages of development are not important or things that we should be. There are things within that we should be familiar with or aware of, but for the sake of time, I decided to just kind of opt out of looking at those two chapters, so they do contain good information. And so we are kind of just jumping right into high school age, but I definitely wanted to include high school age students in terms of career development, because those of you that are working in the state VR agencies are familiar with WIOA and the new regulations that mandate that certain amounts of funding are put towards pre-employment transition services. And now we've got this increased engagement and this new initiative with getting VR counselors more established in the school systems and high school systems, working with students with disabilities so that they're seamlessly transitioning from the high school public education setting or just education setting into either post-secondary education, additional training, or right into the world of work. So I did want to include this chapter as part of our overall learning experience, because those of you that are working with teenagers through transition, if you're working in the school systems, working as a person on a transition team, a lot of these ideas and the foundational understanding of working with a high school student, it's good to learn about in terms of career development. Because what are we talking about in high school compared to middle school and elementary school? Well, in high school we have a bit more cognitive development, right? If you can remember and reflect back on your earlier years, in middle school, if we're thinking about career and career exploration, it was pretty basic. Really, middle school was kind of that time to think about or start thinking about what type of job you might want to be in. Because what happens in high school, they start putting kids on career tracks, right? They want to keep those college-bound students on the same career path, so they're taking courses that are going to prepare them adequately for college. Those that are going into more technical fields or maybe a technical education program are going to be, directed in a different career track or a career path. So, when we are thinking about kind of levels of understanding of careers, we start thinking about careers in elementary school. Young kids start thinking about what they're going to be doing, right? If you ask any young kid what they want to be, it's probably one of those major categories of occupations: police officer, firefighter, doctor, teacher, nurse, things like that. And we start to kind of narrow down our understanding of what a career looks like as we age, right? So thinking about high school and cognitive development, of course, it has increased by the time individuals hit the high school years. And for those working with a transition services team, you're going to be working with students that may be as young as 14 years old, and exploring careers and exploring what types of jobs somebody might be wanting to do and what it will take to get somebody into those jobs or those job categories. Looking at how somebody solves problems, looking at how high school age students solve problems, how they come to make a decision based on their life experiences, what their parents do, their own educational interests, their general interests, their culture potentially is all going to factor into how a high school student starts processing information that they know about careers and work, and starts to narrow down what options they might be exploring down the road. So counselors really have a lot of tools to pull from if they're working in schools. The text does give a lot of information about school counselors, because of course school counselors by and large are going to be those people that high school students go to for guidance related to what type of what type of college they're going to go to. Are they just going to go into the world of work? What will they be doing after graduation? That's kind of the lingering question. If the high school student isn't wondering that, their parents certainly are, or their guardians certainly are. And so there's a team of individuals typically there, whether it be teachers, counselors, administrative professionals, people that are on a transition team if that applies, that are there ready to help a high school age student become as prepared as they possibly can be for post-graduation, for after graduation. So kind of looking at the general guidelines that are available out there. So if we are looking at the National Career Development Guidelines, which are in Appendix H of the text, there are certain competencies that we hope that our clients that are going through a career development process, going through career counseling, would develop as a result of going through career development and career counseling. And these domains can apply certainly to individuals that are high school age too. Understanding how certain aspects of their social development play a role in what type of work they eventually want to be doing. Understanding and learning about the type of education they're going to need, applying that knowledge to the type of work that they're going to be doing, and being able to effectively manage their careers and manage where they want to be at the end of the day and at retirement age. Again, thinking about what we're doing as part of the career counseling process is we are helping clients, including high school age students, including students in transition, to understand who they are, who they view themselves to be now, how they develop that sense of self and that self-awareness, and then using all of that knowledge to kind of narrow down the scope of what they hope to do in the future and what will it take to get them to that point, what type of education might it take, what kind of training might it take, and then linking people up with different resources that are available. Whether it be through those job placement sites, career centers, transitioning right into a vocational rehabilitation program, or setting somebody up to transition seamlessly right into a post-secondary education program. So where am I going with this one next? So I'm trying to kind of go through the slides here and thinking about college and a career counselors need to know about the options that are available post-graduation in terms of post-secondary education options, right? So, I know in my generation, it seemed like everybody better be ready to go to college. And I think maybe there's starting to be a little bit of a shift in our understanding of what type of education somebody might need to actually make a living wage down the road, and the pitfalls of going into a college degree program if you don't actually have a plan, taking out student loans and things of that nature. A discussion for a different day, I suppose. But for the career counselor working with a high school age student, it's going to be important to know what options are available or what resources are available for those students that are wanting to go and pursue post-secondary education options. Things that have come up that the text didn't talk about as much would include the community college programs that now are providing free education, free 2-year degrees to students in different states. We've seen some of these that have been piloted successfully. So somebody could go and get a 2-year degree for free without any cost to them, essentially. And then either transition those credits over into the 4-year college or go to work, right? And so it's important that a career counselor be knowledgeable about the services, about the programs that are out there, about the ways in which somebody can get an education without having to empty out their bank account or get themselves into massive amounts of student loan debt at the end of the day. So it's important to know about the different changes that are going on in your community, whether it be with technical education, community colleges, or even undergraduate degrees. We've now started to hear about different ways that individuals can go and get an undergraduate degree without having to incur any kind of financial burden in doing so. And of course, we know that colleges and universities do have their own career services centers that can be useful and beneficial for even high school students to get connected up with and understand where those options are for them. So again, just kind of to reiterate here, when we're you're reading this chapter, when you're thinking about career development for high school students, just know that because of the type of degree that you're getting, and some of you are working in state VR agencies, that this information certainly can be applicable to how you're working with students that are going through the transition process, that are working with you in pre-employment transition service programs. And some of the group strategies can be useful too. I definitely could see how some of those group strategies could be translated nicely in working with students with disabilities. So with that, I'll leave you to the rest of the information that's provided in the module, which I didn't want to get too in-depth with since we're wrapping everything up now. I'll look out. Please look out. I'll put my final review video up in that final review tab whenever it opens up, which should be soon. And if you have any questions about anything as we wrap up this semester, little summer session here, please feel free to let me know, okay?